think there's times in life where you don't have balance. There's times where I'm not a good friend. There's times when I'm not a good daughter. There's times, there's a lot of times recently that, my plate has been full where I'm like, man, I have to dive into this to make this successful. And then there's understanding that there's seasons where like, okay, there's times where I'm not great. So like when I can be great, I have to be a great friend. I have to reach out to, we mentioned Chandler McCabe at Robert Morris. Let me check in with her. Let me see how she's doing. She's going, like there's, so just understanding that there's ebbs and flows and also not taking it personal, right? Like I have friends that, are doing big things, college coaches, like they don't have time to check in with me. Not knowing like, oh, well, she ain't my friend. No, just understand that people have a lot going on. We're all trying to achieve a lot and do a lot of things. So just having grace with other people, have grace with yourself, and knowing that like everything isn't going to be balanced all the time, but when you can balance it, make sure you put that time in for your
AC, God told me to start this podcast, and then he told me to call you. The time is now. You ready?
I got you, T. Let's do it. Welcome, family, to another week of the Mental Locker Room Podcast. I, of course, am your boy, Dr. C, sitting here with my illustrious co-host, Tish. How you doing this wonderful Sunday?
I am blessed. See, I'm blessed. Always happy to be here. As I always say, man, we got another amazing guest in here. Listen, we got a legend, a living legend. So I'm excited. I'm on the edge of my seat. I know you're my Miami Hurricane, but I'm going to claim my 1/4 degree from Florida today.
I mean, y'all gave Texas A&M your best shot yesterday. Your best shot. It just wasn't good enough. And
hush.
It happens any given Saturday. Look, I've been through so much pain, listeners, being a Hurricane fan. Like, you don't understand what my childhood was like talking about championships from the 80s. But in the year of our Lord, 2025, we may get us one. But I'm also excited about our guest today, man, as I was doing my research on her and looking at her stats. And I'm just like, every time Tish bring a basketball person on here, I'm just like, Lord, how do we get blessed to be here with folks who are the top of athletics when they were on the court or when they was on the field, man? So before we get in and give you the skinny about our guest, I got to bring in the folks. So this might be your first time listening, and you listening to me and Tisha yap a little bit about football. You're like, what have I gotten myself into? Well, welcome to the Mental Locker Room. We are happy to have you. The Mental Locker Room Podcast, for the uninitiated, is a space for former athletes turned entrepreneurs and industry leaders to inspire athletes to find identity, purpose, legacy, and mindset beyond the game. And today, y'all, our guest is someone who's built a bridge between elite performance and meaningful purpose. At Florida, Jennifer George was not just a scorer. She was the defensive anchor and a hell of a force on the inside. She earned first-team All-SEC honors in 2012 and was named All-SEC Defensive Team in 2013. While she was a Florida Gator, those accolades were not handed to her. They were a product of her grit, her growth, and refusing to be back down in the paint. After college, she was drafted by the Indiana Fever and played internationally while also representing Jamaica on the national team. She then turned her attention to coaching and mentorship, taking strength and conditioning roles, performance coaching, and leveraging her platform to uplift girls and under-resourced communities through her nonprofit, Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation. Here, Jennifer marries performance with purpose, and she's committed to using basketball as more than a sport. She sees it as a tool to help folks form their identities, take care of their wellness, develop their leadership, and embrace the possibilities of their life. Family, this isn't just a conversation about hoops. It's about resilience, how you can reinvent yourself, and what it means to pass the torch to the next generation of girls. So, welcome into the Mental Locker Room, Jennifer George. Let's get it. How you doing today?
Man, that's a great bio. Man, I got to take you on the road with me. I got to take you on the road. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited for the conversation today. I'm excited to meet you guys and also be able to continue the conversation of women in sports and entrepreneurship. And like you said, reinventing yourself.
Hey, we feel like this is a timely episode. As a girl dad myself, I love when I can sit down uh, and talk to women who you didn't just play the sport, and the sport ain't just who you are. You use that as a springboard, man, and you decided to do something I feel like we all need to do more that really leans in our humanity, and that's pay it forward. Right? Show the other folks, how to get the tools that you got and be better than you were, because that's the goal, right? We don't need clones. We need versions 2 point and then keep going.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Jennifer, thank you again for joining us here for a conversation. You are a legend, literally. A SEC legend, which I believe is the greatest league that you can play in, the most challenging league, and a league that our WNBA MVP, Defensive Player of the Year,
The GOAT.
champion.
The GOAT.
The face of the league.
The face of the league, signature shoe. Listen, finals MVP. Listen, that's the league.
That girl
That's
good,
the
boy.
league.
That girl good.
Shout out to the Las Vegas Aces and Asia Wilson. Amazing, amazing. So, Jennifer, let's get into it. Today's about you. And all the way that you're fulfilling your purpose right now is just, it's so good to see. So good to see. So tell us a little bit about your journey from your perspective. Obviously, being who you are, there are a lot of different perspectives of who you are and what you're building and what you've done and things like that. But from your experience, your perspective, your experiences, what led to the formation of Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation?
Well, obviously, I have to give the credit to my parents. They provided me an environment to grow and to foster um, just resiliency and
Mm-hmm.
discipline. So I give that credit to my mom and my dad. And you asked about my journey. I think it all starts in Orlando, but being able to attend Bishop Moore Catholic High School and then have a decent career there, going on to play at the University of Florida. Um, I think being around the best athletes, right? Like playing at power, at that time it's power 5 and now it's power 4. You just have that environment of excellence. And so you have no other choice at Florida to understand how to continue moving forward and learning great habits. So I feel like this, even though I think was my junior year, we made it to NCAA, lost to Baylor. Well, that was when Brittany Griner was on the team. I believe Odyssey Sims possibly. That was our highest point. My senior year, we made it to the WNIT Final Four, or I think it was right before the Final Four. We got knocked out. So despite our inability to get an SEC title or make it to the NCAA finals, we still had that core of that hard nose Coach Butler really instilled in us. I always remember, her message to us was handle your business like a woman. And I always take that now to me at 34. That what she taught me and taught the other players in our 4-year span. So yeah, that's when you talk about my journey, I think a lot of it comes from Florida. A lot of it comes from my family, my parents, and that kind of put me in position to play overseas, to play for the Jamaican national team, and kind of see along my way some inequities in what we
Yeah.
have going on in America or even overseas. And I'm a person that is a servant leader. So I'm always thinking, how can I help? How can I make things better? And that's where Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation was born, just between my experiences and seeing how I can make a difference.
That's so amazing. Like what would you say is like the biggest thing when you're talking about inadequacies and things like that, where you're seeing these things firsthand. This is where you come from, these are your people. Um and something is off, something isn't right. There's something missing where this is like there's some inequality going on here. What was that very moment where or that very thing where you're like, all right, I gotta do something about this?
I think it was two different experiences. One being my time, this was back in maybe it's 2014. I started going over to training camp in Kingston, Jamaica, and
Mm-hmm.
just seeing the differences of like, they're asking for bras, socks from us coming from the
Yeah.
States, asking us for help. And for us it's nothing that you can go
Yeah.
anywhere and get it. And sometimes it's over there. It's just a little bit harder. So that was the first one, also two, as a member of the Jamaican national team on the women's side, Usain Bolt at that point had to give us money to make it over to our tournaments. He had to personally invest in the program because we were lacking funding. And then you kind of see in other sports, maybe on the other gender, there wasn't that issue. So that was the first one. And then seeing back in the States, I remember it was um maybe it was 2019, and I was at Mountford Academy at that time, and we had a lot of international players from Mexico, Uruguay, and
Yep.
players are coming over. And that, if you don't know anything about Mountford Academy, I think the tuition is about $50,000. It could be
Yeah.
in the ball range, could be up, could be less, probably not less though, because inflation is real. But
Yeah.
yeah, so even at that tuition, full ride to go to such a prestigious school, if you come from nothing and you go there, you still don't have the resources that maybe other students have. And so just
Mhm.
seeing some of those things and knowing that in community centers, if you have a son, you could drive to any community center, get him into a league, everything's fine. If you have a girl, at that time, you got to go into co-ed. And we know that 40% of girls drop out of sports because of lack of confidence, lack of opportunity, lack of resources. So a lot of girls drop out because maybe they don't have the confidence, like a Coach Tesh, like you coming up, you probably already knew you could handle anyone, guy or
Yeah.
girl, but some girls aren't like that. And so just
Yeah.
knowing that and being around and just noticing what's going on, those were kind of the two experiences that I had that I was like, okay, we need to add more. We need to give more to the girls behind us.
Yeah. And that, man, that's so important. It's so crazy because you're talking about some things that are basic necessities. Like these are things that we're expecting to have as females, bras and things like that. But you're going overseas, and things like that, and not seeing you don't have what you need to even play the game and to be confident. Especially if you don't have what you need to wear and play in the game, and you're not confident about it. There's no way you're going on the court and saying, "Ooh, I feel good about the game that I'm about to play," because maybe, you have this young child that's, for her, it's all in her head of everybody's looking at me not have what I need. And so I can't perform the way that I need to perform because something else is on my mind. But you're saying, "No, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to, find a way to get them the resources that they need and build confidence in them so that they can look good, feel good, play good," as Deion Sanders would say. And that's huge, whether it's basketball or in life, that like we've got to have some type of confidence within ourselves to accomplish anything great. I believe. And so thank you for that. Thank you for that. And shout out to Amanda Butler. Shout out to Amanda Butler as well. Sprinkling that sauce in you and little Jennifer back in the days.
Look, I don't know if I was ever little, but she the younger version of me. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Always been thick.
Hey, you got
Go
to play on the
man.
block. You got to play on the block.
That's
As you
true.
hey,
I was going up
get it
against
in.
6'8". We had Kiki Carrier back then when I was playing. We had some big girls.
When you said you played against
Yeah.
Brittany, I'm like, I know something.
Yeah,
They have
no,
to throw
yeah.
somebody down there with somebody because
Yeah.
Brittany Griner was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, she up there. So yeah, you had that toughness. Speaking of, you are an SEC legend. That'll be forever in the history books. And you went in pretty fast too, compared to some other people. I'm looking at the list, 1977. And you went it. But you graduated what, 2013? And you were in there 5 years later, which is amazing. How would you say, just because you were known for what we were just talking about, your toughness on the glass, your all around defense, which that takes heart, that takes confidence. That's all about grit, all about resilience. So what lessons on the court of that aspect of resilience, like you talked about earlier, how does that show up now in your foundation as you're building something where you always need resources and you got to keep going and pushing every single day?
Well, any entrepreneur, anyone in business knows you're gonna get a lot of no's. So you need the
Yes.
resilience. So I think that shows up every day when I'm contacting potential sponsors, potential partners, and just having that resilience to, despite maybe I get a no first, and maybe having some opportunity to continue the conversation and having that persuasiveness, maybe to see, hey, it's all
Yeah.
about how we look at things or how you're packaging things. So I think I use it there when I'm now on the other side of trying to grow Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation and continuing to
Yeah.
add partners, continue to add sponsors, just attacking it like I did back in my SEC days.
Hey, one, you didn't just get to that legend, right? Like what what took you to get there, carried you through. But then after you finished college, you had your Michael Jordan JV moment. And everybody should know the story about Michael Jackson. I mean, not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, when he joined, when he was going out for the high school team, right? First time he went, he got cut. So you made it to the WNBA. Not a lot of people can say they were a professional athlete. And then you got cut, right? How did that setback fuel how you mentor other other folks in general, but specifically your young girls, about how they can stay resilient even when they get these no's, and how do they keep their self-worth? Because that's the other side of it, right? It's one thing to push through the no's. It's another thing about that fifth one. You're like, damn, is this a good idea? Is this something that people want? Right? And that requires, belief in yourself that, hey, that stay for them. But if I call 5 more people, I'm gonna get somebody that believes in this idea.
Absolutely. I think when I talk to the girls or um, am in communication with them, it's being able to identify yourself outside of sport.
Mm.
You talk about at that time back in 2013 when I got cut. I mean, that was the first time I ever failed at a sport that I've been playing for most of my life. And so
Mm.
luckily for me, at that time, I think it was maybe a week or 2 weeks, and I got a call for Jamaica basketball. So it was a quick turnaround of like, I went from, oh, I'm not playing, like I'm done with basketball, to okay, I guess I got some more. I guess I guess I'm headed to Jamaica. So, God has always, opened up doors for me and put me in places. But, with the foundation, just this past Thursday, we had a Girls Who Lead Summit where we partnered up with Dr. Keita Joy, a renowned speaker, motivational speaker, and a life coach. And she was able to really speak to girls about confidence and being able to speak in a room full of your peers, and being able to identify yourself, have that self-confidence. And so I think that's now my goal, is to be able to explain to the youth and the young girls that are in high school or have aspirations to go to college or beyond that, is that being able to understand that you are more than basketball, you are more than putting a ball in a basket, and being able to find that in yourself before I did. It took me some time. It took me
Mm.
some time, a lot of bumps and bruises, but I was able to finally find that. And I think that's for me now, it's like, how can I get the next generation to find that earlier, right? Like if we can speed up the process and get them to identify with themselves more than just a hooper. You're a daughter, you have hobbies, you have other
Mhm.
things to give to this world. You are so multifaceted. So I think that's something that I take from my experience for the girls.
What you're teaching them ain't an easy thing. I think we've been this episode 14 episodes. We've been talking about how hard it is, right? That identity crisis. Once that the ball stopped bouncing, right? When I took off my helmet for the last time, it was no more football. Like we kind of go, well, this is the thing that's been keeping me on the schedule. This is the thing that I made sure that I knew I was doing something on Saturdays, and it takes some adjusting. But then with the folks that you work with, it's that other side of it too. Is you being a girl in this world. is never easy, not even a little bit. So what are some of the things that,
Yeah.
the young women who've been fortunate enough to be under your tutelage, what do they say about being involved in Girls Basketball Worldwide Federation? What are they getting?
Well, one of the things or the people that stand out to me is AJ Ajalon Gillard, and she's now in her fourth year, I believe. She's in her fourth year, playing in college. She had experiences, right? So we met at Rollins, but I knew her way before that. So we actually had ran into each other when I was in my Mountain Bird Academy days. So I've been able to see her from high school to college, and seeing her journey and throughout her time with the foundation. Of course, her parents own a training business, but she, through her time with just doing clinics and just being around the girls, she realized she wanted to coach. She wants to be more involved in the process, and she has now a fifth grade team, even though she's in college. So I think stuff like that, when you can have a girl understand, okay, like I have a purpose and I can teach other young girls at that age of being in college. And when I was in college, I know I had nothing. That was not in me at all. I was living my life. How can I, be my best me and live and travel and do all the things? And for her to be able to find that, but just her being around the foundation and being at our events and seeing what we do, I think that's something that I'm proud of, that we have young girls, college girls, high school girls that volunteer with our events and find themselves or find what they like, or what they don't like. For instance, our 3-on-3 tournament, we, for the past 2 years, have had Rollins girls be broadcasters because we live stream the events for middle school and high school 3-on-3. And so we have girls that didn't have thoughts of going into broadcasting leave and be like, oh, that was not that bad. Like, I actually enjoy that. So the small things, opportunities, right? You don't know unless you try. And so being able to provide girls at all levels, not just middle school of who we really target, but we also engage with high school and college athletes.
That exposure, man, that exposure is, you could make a whole foundation just off of the exposure, right? Just getting folks out to do new things. Because when I was working in high school, that was the one thing that used to always confuse me about how short-sighted the scope of some of my students were, like what they could be. And then you realize that folks, start building out what they could be by what they see, right? So no, I didn't know I could even do broadcasting as a thing. Now I do. So now it's something I want to do. So I really thank you for doing that part, because that access part is one of the hardest things to mentoring, is how do we get our folks to do and be in situations that they probably wouldn't normally be in, right? And then the change that can spark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful to pour yourself into something and to see what these kids blossom into, where they end up going, and to know that we're humble in it, right? But to know you had some type of hand in it, where you know that you're doing the right thing, and you can we don't always get to see the fruit of our labor, and the way that we touch the lives of these kids. Like it brings me joy to my heart when I see a former player of mine, KK Wright, going and helping you at your events and things like that, right? One of my players, Deshaun Jackson, working with the Las Vegas Aces and holding that trophy up the other day, and it's just like, ooh, you're doing the work, you're walking in it, you're seeing it, and they're just growing and blossoming. So, and I know AJ Ajalon Gillett, she's amazing. Shout out to Bruce, and that entire family. But yeah, the work that you're doing is tremendous. And you said something where you're like, the confidence is something that you're pouring into these kids. Now, when you're doing these clinics and these community events, what are some other common themes that you're seeing, outside of the confidence, maybe body image, leadership, and how do you intentionally address those things? Because they're so huge in this game and just for women in general.
Well, I think the first thing is when we have clinics and these girls walk up, they don't even say their name, right? So
Mm.
it's an easy check-in process. Something simple as, what's your name? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
whispering their name, or they look at their parents. No, that's your name. You have to know your name.
Yeah.
So just small things like that we see of like just a lack of ability to speak. And so we really focus on adding components to our clinics where they're having breakout sessions. We do curriculum through Winners Win, written by Tanika Rubin, who's at Mountford Academy. And so we have opportunities for girls to share about things that they're dealing with in their everyday life with a small group of girls where they feel a little bit more comfortable, right? It's not in
Yeah.
a group of 30. So we put them in positions to speak. We put them in positions to be uncomfortable. And so I think that's what we see, or I see at least at our different events, is just that lack of willingness to speak, raise your voice, right? So I did an event with the Florida Gators women's basketball program yesterday, the pickleball tournament, and Coach Kelly Ray Finley, she had the players all introduce themselves to the group that are playing yesterday. We had players that, I mean, this is a room of maybe 60 people, had trouble speaking up, right? It was hard to hear them. And we all know when you're with your friends, we don't have problem being loud,
Nope.
especially, especially in some cultures. There's no problem being loud. So
Yeah.
finding that voice, even at college, I mean, I knew I didn't have, who you see today was not who Amanda Butler had. I'll tell you that. She had she had her work cut out for her. Me at 18 to 20, 22, 23.
Yeah, you gonna coach. Yeah,
You gonna have to coach
if I'm
me.
on the team,
Yeah. It was a struggle, but she made it through. She made an impact on me, and with perseverance that she had, because I was stubborn. But she did a great job.
Yeah. Do you got any players that remind you of you, where they really challenge you in any capacity? Like, yeah, you gonna Coach Jennifer. You got
No,
to get
first of all,
through to
no one
me.
reminds me of me. I was 101. And that's a good thing. I'm glad, because I wouldn't want meat. I don't want that. I don't want that smoke. Do I have any players? I mean, not that reminds me of me, but I do see now, like, I mean, I'm at Bishop Moore Catholic High School still as an assistant coach, and I have some players that, man, they could be special, but they don't have it here yet, right? They don't have that mentality. They don't believe it in themselves. But once that happens, that's when they'll get to that next level. So yeah, I see, and I had that too. I mean, I had that as well, especially at Florida. Freshman year, they wanted me to start after my maybe few games, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll sit on the bench. Like, I don't need to start. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I had that as well. So I can see that in other girls now, because again, I went through the same things that most of these girls have gone through.
Yeah. How do you approach failure, right? Because you talked about earlier where your first time failing in this game was when you got cut after being drafted from the WNBA, but we see now, like, this is for, well, me, at least I see, like, this was a part of the story, because had that, like, it was a part of the plan. I think everything is written, because I don't know, if you didn't get cut, would you have gone and played on the Jamaica national team and realized all of these things and built all of what you've built now? And so, like, when one of your players faces what they may see as failure in the space that they're in right now, how do you address that?
Well, I just say to them, failure is gonna come in
Yeah.
small doses. It's gonna be in big doses. That's life, right? Life is going to
Yeah.
hit everybody at some point. It's how you get up. It's how you react. It's how you respond to those situations that builds who you are. And so I'm always preaching to them, it's not about what happens to you. It's about what's the next step. How do you get
Yeah.
up? How do
Yeah.
you respond,
Yes.
and kind of having that glass half full mentality.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that's something that I talk to the players about, and the girls that I'm in contact with in our program, with the foundation, is just having that resiliency, and just being able to understand that nothing's perfect. You can have a plan, but it's really God's plan. So
Mike Tyson used to say, everybody got a plan till they get hit in the mouth.
till they get hit in the
Right?
mouth, yeah.
And like it's that next play, right? Like, oh, the man blew by you. Well, good thing we got to go back on defense in another series, right? So what you gonna do, right? And it's that recovery, and I feel like I really like this conversation with you, Coach George, because I can see that that's the kind of coach you are, and you don't always get that kind of coach. Sometimes you get the coach, oh, your man blew by you, you finna sit next to me. And I'm not gonna talk to you. You're gonna have to the get back coach gonna talk to you. The get behind the line coach gonna talk to you. And when I'm not mad no more, then you can get back in there. And it's like, all right, coach, I understand why you upset, but that child missed a learning opportunity. The athlete missed a learning opportunity. So they just gonna get back out there and they gonna blow past them again. Right. And that's that shows an attunement with the people, right? In the development part of coaching. But I can't let you off the hook. We asked you about a player that was like you, and you was like, I ain't nobody like me. So I bet. But I know that when we mentor, some of the hard things about mentoring coaching is that player who head is just hard, who don't believe that water's wet, they don't believe that fat meat greasy. In your career at mentoring, who was that student? Like, give it, because you named the student that was just like, hey, this person got this opportunity and they took off with it. I know you can name that student that was like every day you was like, ooh, they showed up practice today, or ooh, they showed up this event today. How did you work through that, right? And how did that relationship end, even if it didn't begin as well?
I don't know. I don't think I have a story like that. I don't think you're asking me who have I seen that needed extra coaching? Is that the question?
A little extra love. That was a little bit more difficult than you may have been used to.
I mean, I think I have one player, that probably from my Rollins days, right? So as a strength coach, you're in that position where you have to find the temperature of what the team is, because either they're coming from practice, or they're coming to you before practice, and you have to understand what their mentality or where their mental is. So a question I would ask the team, I'm like, where are we at with our mental? Where are we at? Are we fatigued? Are we just over everything? Season college is long. And so understanding where they are and then being able to adjust my game plan off of that. And so I found myself a lot of times at Rollins, just having maybe one particular player that was older, but obviously had been through, 3 years, and just it's tough, right? Like, college athletics is not as easy as before. And I know our generation sometimes can say, man, these players are, they're not like us, right? They have the coaching. They're not. Right? They're not. So we have to now change some things. So I try to make sure that I was always sounding board for them. Again, as strength coach, you have to balance, right? Like, you can't. It's all about the team. It's all about understanding that, and you're on staff, so you have to play the line of like, okay, yes, but coach said this. What is he really saying, or what is she really saying? Let's look at the really meat and potatoes of it, and not just how they said it or what they said. So yeah, I think that I probably have a player from Rollins that needed some extra, but it really was more about balancing, right? At that level at college, you're just trying to balance everything and figure it out right before you leave.
And I also heard you say adaptability, right? Flexibility, which is pretty much been a through line of your story as well. So when you went from athlete to business owner, right? That some skills transferred over, some skills don't. Some experiences transfer, some don't. One thing though that does transfer is that being a business owner is difficult. It's real hard. So once you put in your mind that you want to make your baby a reality, what was one of the hardest challenges that you had to figure out? How did you make sure your foundation came out the other end whole?
I think when I started it, I got lucky. I think that I had great people around me to help me, get the paperwork right. You have to submit stuff to SunBiz, getting all that stuff. Like, I had a past friend from high school who's a lawyer, got everything bundled up, sent it off. Like, I got really blessed with the people that I've encountered in my life, and even to the capacity of, um, you know, seed money, right? Money to get this thing off the ground. Prior to my time at Mount Bird, or even during, I coached at Orange Theory Fitness. And so coaching there, I'm in I'm encountering maybe hundreds of people per day. And so I was able to strike up relationships with people that had businesses that believed in me as a person. Maybe didn't know much about my foundation because at that point it was just a thought, but
Yeah.
wanted to give me money, right, to invest in my vision. And so that was in 2020. So 2020, prior to, I mean, everything was still shut down. We didn't really get going till 2021. So I had money that was donated and fund and was invested in to the foundation during that 2020 time. So when 2021 started, we had the money to do our first clinic. We had all the things that we needed, resources. My time at Coppin State up in Baltimore, I got connected with Under Armour. And so Under Armour was a partner for our first clinic. Right. So just small things that happened in my life just set me up in the beginning that kind of made things like, okay, everything is falling into place. Like God is putting me in position to be successful and something that, like you said, I was just not just an athlete. I was an athlete, but I had not owned anything. I hadn't ran anything. I've been obviously in manager positions. I've been a coach. I've been, I was doing broadcasting, prior to. So I've done some things, but nothing like this. And so really, God really put me in position and put people around me to make sure that we were successful in the things that we were able to do in the beginning.
And shout out to your team. Shout out to your team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, having that tribe is super important. And earlier you talked about just teaching your athletes how to communicate well, public speaking, like networking and relationship building. Those are skills as well. And just being a good person, because if you weren't a good person when you were at Orange Theory and all of the other stops and things that you had and at Coppin State with Under Armour, and if you weren't a good person, ain't nobody pouring into that. I'm not donating a dime to what you got going on, but you're saying, okay, and not being afraid to leverage those relationships as well and say, hey, I got an idea. It's just a thought right now. But if somebody can just believe in me and what I'm looking to build, I know that I can make this thing work because God's behind it. There's purpose behind it. I just need the seed money, and the team and the people around me to really get this thing off the ground. And I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, sometimes people try to do everything all on their own, or they're afraid to ask for help. Where you're like, nope, I'm leveraging this. I got an idea, and I know people that can help me do this, and I'm going to call them and use them.
Absolutely. That is something I believe in. And I'm always someone that, like, I know I am not the end all be all for most things and all things. So I am always the first to be like, okay, who in my network is great at this? Because I'm just
Yep.
okay. I'm okay at a lot of things.
Yeah.
I could be great at a couple things, but I know people that are great. And so I'm always the one to call and be like, hey, I got this. That's what, we talked earlier about Shauna Randall and, calling on her, hey, I got an idea. How can we do this together? Right. And just having friendships and partnerships and people that align with the same goals of just being good people. Right. I've just also been blessed. A lot of the events that people see that for the foundation is all volunteers. And you said KK earlier. I mean, she was a volunteer. Like, this girl was one of the best athletes at UCF. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting quality people at my events, and they don't ask for a dime. And so that is the blessing on all. Is that's when you're doing the right thing, when people want to be a part of it.
But yeah, coach, just having people on your side, that are willing to not only give their time, but to give their time for free and say, hey, I could be doing this, but you're building something special. I want to attach myself to it, not in a selfish way, but a way that I know I have something to give that can help you take what you're building to the next level. So let me extend this to you. I love it. I love it. As a strength and conditioning coach at Rollins, now see, I'm gonna give you, she may not have the person, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when it came to my strength and conditioning coach, She would have had a time with me because I was a good athlete and a leader and things like that. But I gave Tom Palumbo a run for his money because it was just some stuff in that weight room I'm not doing. I'm not doing it because I know my body. And we can fight all day about it,
Trash.
but I'm not. Now, I do another version of it, but I know my body. And you can't tell me how I feel, and you won't run me to the ground. Well, I'm the one that got to get on that court and play. So I gave him a run for his money, because he had just come from Ohio State football to our team, and when he left, he went to the military. So he was a tough guy, but I gave him a run for his money.
What are your thoughts? And I'm gonna turn this around on you. What are your thoughts on football strength coaches? Because I had 3 different strength coaches while I was at Florida coming to the women's space and the women's sports. Like, how do you think that transition for them is?
Transition for the strength and conditioning coach?
Yeah, because that's a different sport. It's a different gender.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that they do there sometimes might not translate to us.
Yeah. I think it's definitely dependent upon the person. Because some people, as a strength coach, I don't think you take it easy on a particular gender just because they're females. You shouldn't be soft or anything like that. But it's a different sport. So to me, different muscles and things like that need to be developed. There are different movements within a game. But I think the mindset, there's a slight shift because just between men and women and even different players in any sport, any aspect, where you got to know how to talk to different people. So I think it's just about the approach. But yeah, it can be difficult because the way that you may be out there yelling at a football team just because they have helmets over their head, we may not even need all of that over here. We don't have anything that's constructing anything. And so, but you may be used to that of yelling across a field when we all literally right here within 25 feet of each other. So I think some of that plays a role, but no, I think you still have to be tough as a strength coach for sure. But there's somewhat of a shift in approach I think needs to happen. So I think it probably is difficult for a lot of strength coaches coming from, whether it's from football to women's basketball or from football to women's soccer or something like that. It can definitely be a shift. And that's where us as athletes, we've got to be patient with people for sure, and extend grace in a sense, and the coaches as well of those teams. Whether it's a women's basketball coach and you get a strength coach from a whole nother sport, you got to learn the sport as the strength coach, and then come in, and give your opinion. But I think that's where you're talking about before, when you're dealing with players. What's the coach's philosophy? What's mine? And there has to be some alignment in there. And I think that's usually the biggest problem, when there's no alignment between strength coach and sport coach.
Yeah, couldn't hit on it better than that.
Yeah.
Y'all basketball players make me laugh. I couldn't even imagine telling my strength coach. Yeah, I did, but that was because I played D3 and that's a lawless land over there. I kind of do what I wanted. But I can imagine you telling your strength coach, "Nah, I ain't doing this." You ain't doing what?
Yeah, I don't know if I could say that either. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's just put your head down. All right, coach. All right.
All right, I guess I'm gonna lift this weight. I guess I don't know what it's gonna help me do.
You mean lift a person? I remember we had one of the Fridays. I know you don't have cussing on this thing, but it was FU Friday workouts, and we had to snake. I know y'all see Ben Hill Griffin Stadium on Saturdays. We had to snake that whole thing. The last section, you had to put somebody on your back go up that whole thing. That was probably the first time I was like, I'm quitting. This is it. I'm not meant for this.
Give me my punishment.
I don't need to play here. This is crazy. What are we doing?
That's wild. I wouldn't even made it that far. Let me stop capping. I wouldn't even made it to the part where we got to carry somebody. Y'all would have been carrying me from section 2, so somebody would have been already doing the work.
Oh man, you're hilarious. But yeah, so for you as a strength and conditioning coach at Rollins, you know the discipline, and even as an athlete, you know the discipline it takes to build physical muscle. How do you teach your girls at Rollins or, any other stops that you had? How do they build that mental and emotional muscle that helps them bounce back within a sport, whether it's um coming back from an injury or those types of things, or even just bouncing back from a test or anytime life gets hard?
Well, former strength and conditioning coach at Rollins. So my time there, for 3 years was really a great time. Like I loved working with the Rollins girls, and they really were able to take on all of the different things I threw at them. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I had 4 different strength coaches at Florida, or
Yeah.
3 different strength coaches. I played overseas. I had my philosophies range, right? So I've been able to be involved in a lot of different things that made me the strength coach that I was. And I think for my time at Rollins, those girls were really able to be connected. I think the first thing is you can't be pushed by someone if you don't think they care. And so building those relationships with the girls, making sure that they understand like there's a reason, there's a purpose, and I'm gonna do the best that I can to put you in position to be successful on the courts. And so I think just my time with them, I wouldn't I just enjoyed it. I had nothing but great things to say about my time at Rollins, and wishing them all the best this season.
I don't know if I wish them all the best, but
You're bogus.
just kidding, just kidding. But no, yeah. And that's important, right? Because they go through so much. Like I said, whether it's injury or losing a test, and when you're a strength and conditioning coach or even a basketball coach or whatever it is, you're never just that. You're never just that. You're the therapist. You're the stepmom, the big sister, the
The auntie
auntie, the
now. That's
teammate.
the age I'm at.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
age I'm
auntie.
at now. Not the sis no more. I'm auntie. Straight up.
Yeah, yeah, auntie. Yeah, it's never that. And when you build those relationships, they are a bit more vulnerable with you, where they're gonna come and share some things that maybe they don't share with anybody else. And as anybody that's dealing with any athlete or any child, they're still children to me. They're kids at that point, and it's like, and can I be that person for anybody? And you've been that person for a lot of people, whether at Rollins or what you're doing with girls basketball worldwide foundation right now.
And uh, to continue to vegetate off of Tish giving you your flowers, I feel like, because you said it earlier in the conversation, but I just feel like it's true too. That's just when you're good peoples, right? When you're good to people, when you are human centered, the universe has a way of paying it back, right? Paying it forward. And even though Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation is young, you've been sitting with us talking about your impact, right? You've been sharing what other folks who've been involved feel about the impact. So it's young, but it'll put in some sweat equity, I like to call it. When you ain't been around all the time, you've been putting in the work, that's sweat equity that you're putting in. So what are the systems that you've built in to keep the girls that are involved engaged and coming back and not just one camp one-offs?
I think being able to one engage with them, also too with the not just basketball events. So I mentioned earlier we had a Girls Who Lead Summit this past Thursday. So a lot of the girls that have been in our events, right? We had a 3-on-3 tournament. We have our clinics. We have our Hoops In series, right? So a lot of those girls ended up coming to our leadership summit basically, and are able to connect with other girls in the community, right? So some of them, there's people from different schools, different side of the city, right? You're all in one space, understanding that, oh, this girl who is getting recruited by XYZ person really has, struggles with some of the same things that I do. And it's not just me feeling this way, it's common, right? So just putting them in positions to be around other girls that they see and be able to do things outside of sports. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just opening them up to different opportunities, obviously engaging with them on social media, right? Like you got to meet people where they are, right? And we now, social media is not going anywhere. And so making sure that we also engage with them there. And then, with the fall league that we have going on right now, we have a middle school fall league, building in the curriculum, right? So now, instead of us doing in the clinic form, which is maybe 30 minutes, right? That's an okay time, but that's tough, right? But being able to do it at a consistent time now throughout a league is going to be more impactful. So just small touches like that, and continuing to adapt and figure out ways to continue to have touch points with them with not issues, but things outside of the sport. Really more the mentality and the leadership aspect.
Do you find like a lot of girls come back after they've, like, not just to participate, but like you mentioned that y'all have a lot of volunteers. Do you find like a lot of girls that participated come back to try to pay it forward?
Yeah, I think we have. I mean, we are 4 years young because really 2021. So the cycle is really just beginning. But yeah, we have a lot of girls that have moved on to different colleges, and now they're freshmen or sophomore, that when they come back, if they can, they're able to help out in the clinics.
Yes. Coach Jennifer, so you talked about writing into the curriculum the things that the girls need, right? The resilience, the confidence, the public speaking. I remember, when I was in sports camp, I love when we would go to science class at sports camp. so, so for you, I enjoyed it. Math and sports camp, love it. So for you, it's obviously a different lane where it's like, okay, these are young women, this is what they need, let's go ahead and write this in, not some flyby, oh, we'll have a speaker in today just out of nowhere. No, let's be super intentional about this being a part of what it is that we're building. How do you purposefully and intentionally build that into your curriculum? What does that look like?
Well, I think aligning myself with people that are in that path or in that scene, right? So, as mentioned, Tanika Rubin, we have been partners for 3 years now, and helping her, and she's able to bounce the curriculum. And as we're able to use her curriculum for us and our girls, just having partnerships like that she's been able to write a life skills where we're able to continue to create the conversation of self-identity. I know that's always not her chapter one, but the chapter I love to use at our events. And so, one, I guess to answer your question, is partnerships and having young women. I remember in a podcast I was listening to, maybe it was Carrie Champion. I might be misquoting on this one, but she would give advice to people that would always, broadcasters that want to come up behind her, right? She would say, your mentor, your person that you want to align with, doesn't always have to be someone at a higher level. Sometimes you need to
Yeah.
be with people at your level, because then you guys come up together. And so when I heard that from podcasts, like, to me, it resonates wholeheartedly, right? Like, there's a lot of people that we can reach up to maybe as they're older, and, DM or XYZ. But if you can reach in your actual community, your network, or the people that are around you that are working hard and trying to build something too, and you can uplift each other in moments, I think there's so much power in that. And so I find that has worked well for the foundation of, like, aligning ourselves with people that are building something special, and that we have two different platforms. We can impact more together than thinking that we have to compete with each other. So I'm huge into partnerships,
Yes.
huge into uplifting other women that are trying to create a legacy for themselves. And that's where I think it starts off with us.
Mm. So beautiful, so beautiful. Instead of competing, let's collaborate.
Yeah.
Let's collaborate, because there's plenty of work to be done out here.
Yes.
Why can't we do it together? We're all trying to build something. Why do we have to do it alone? Why is it me versus you when it can be us against whatever this issue or this problem that we are facing or these young women are facing. Let's tackle that together. I love that. I love that. So for you, like, what's the biggest difference between training an athlete for peak performance versus training them for confidence and life readiness?
I think both of them take time, right? So
Yes.
when you're training an elite athlete, if you're training the mind, it's going to take time. You have to have patience. You have to understand, right? When you're training either an elite athlete or even an adult, right, thinking that wants to lose weight, right? They want it quick, but the body takes time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so does your mind. And so if you can create small habits and small goals to attain every single day, that's I think the same message that I have for both, right? Like an elite athlete or even their mind is like, okay, like how do we win today? How do we get a win, right? Like something happened to you and instead of you going down a spiral and just like shutting down, you were able to talk through it, or instead of yelling at a teammate, you found a different way to understand that that teammate doesn't respond to that. So how do
Yeah.
I as a leader now meet them where they are? And so just small things that can make a big difference in their growth as leaders, I think is probably my biggest message.
I love that. I love you leaving a message for the young girls. I think that one of the things, the big things with foundations and mentoring is we got to have our North Star, right? The North Star is sometimes a little bit deeper than just the skills themselves. And I love that you like to collaborate. However, as I did before, I want to kind of put you in a box. I want to put you in a
Let's
box.
try. Let's
Because why
go.
not? Why not put
Why
us in a
not?
box?
Why
We,
not?
If
y'all in the ring.
if you didn't have the curriculum that you had that you currently use, and you were able to make your own JG resilience curriculum, chess coin, that you can take it if you want to, what would be what would be the 3 non-negotiables in your curriculum that you feel like every girl would have to have before they leave your program?
The ability to speak in a room, right? The ability to have a voice. They'd have to have the ability to have persistence, right? You got to be persistent sometimes in life. Um, and then the last thing is, I like what you guys said earlier, but the grit, right? You got to have a little grit. You got to have discipline, right? So those 3 things, I'll take grit/discipline, but discipline would be the third one.
And what would you recommend these young ladies do as extensions of your program to get these 3 non-negotiables?
Hang out with me.
Mhm.
No, I'm kidding. They can't do that. They can't do that. What do they need to do to have those 3 non-negotiables? In terms of like the programming that we have or attending events? What do you
So let's look at the attending the events as the first step, right? But like you said, I can't be with Jennifer all the time,
can't do
right?
it.
Because I ain't your child. I'm somebody else's child. I got to go home.
Right, you gotta go home. You ain't gotta leave, but you gotta get out of here.
So what are some of the things you recommend that they do to work on those outside of the programming that they're getting from you?
Outside of the program, you know, I guess I would say realistically, right, who you align yourself with. So like, right, like if you're girls that came to our summit this Thursday, right, there were tangible things that they took from it, right? Like there was a container that had positive reinforcements in it, right? So just being able to continue to use what you learn on a daily basis, right? Because we are having these moments with them and then they're back to their school, they're back to their teammates, they're back at home, right? There's at some point it has to click because, I actually was having a conversation with another coach and it's like, can you really how much can you do for a child when no matter how much time you spend with them, they still got to go home. They got to go wherever they are back in their environment that might not be serving them. So can you as a coach really change a trajectory if you are not, spending that much time with them, hour here, 2 hours here, like how much can you, obviously coaches play a big part, right? Like Coach Amanda Butler took one sentence for me and I'm not saying that's the cause of who I am, but that has helped me, right? So sometimes it's just one word, sometimes it's a sentence, sometimes it's something to click, right? And I actually have seen it, was it 2 weeks ago? We had a afternoon lift at Bishop Moore. I said to a player, I said, you're not showing me anything, right? You haven't shown me something. Like, I don't see it. Like, you can be great, but you're just being okay with being just average. And the next day we had 6 a.m. And when I tell you this girl, I was like, what got into you? You look different. I don't have to ask you to bump up your weights. You're just like putting your head down, you're working. And she said, Coach Jen, like, it clicked. Like, I understand what you said yesterday to me. So like sometimes it's just those small things. And so I guess to answer your question, which is how can girls continue to practice what, the 3 non-negotiables, is to continue to have people around you, or to continue to put yourself in positions to be great, right? So if it's not our event, make sure you're seeking out something else that can take your time and make it a positive impact on you, because there's a lot of things out there. And I think as someone that went to University of Florida, that probably I didn't tap into 10% of what the school offers. Like, I was an athlete, right? So I missed out on so many things. And so being more aware of what's going on in the community, because there's a lot of things, a lot of great organizations that want to help out young girls.
Hey, I love that. Finally, because we were just talking about how you found your tribe, and that was essentially the advice that you gave, the young people that might be listening. Because think about, and y'all, we're around the same age, so y'all mama and them probably told y'all this like mine did. Who you hanging around, right, is going to have influence over what you're going to be able to accomplish. My daddy used to say, when you realize you're the smartest person in your friend group, you need new friends. Right. You need new friends. If your friends ain't trying to hold you accountable, that's one of those things that I think our young athletes take for granted. That I'm going to the league. My friends like to hang out on the corner. I'm gonna hang out too, because I'm going to the league. Like, oh no, man. I mean, there are some that made it. I wouldn't play them odds. Like, and I'm a gambling man, and I wouldn't make that bet. That wouldn't be one that I'd make. And then the sticky part, you got to use the thing outside of just our time together, or it's not sticky. That's education theory right there. That's something that just makes sense. So young folks, make sure that you're around some good people that are going to hold you accountable for doing the right thing. And don't let what you learn in the clinics and the mentoring sessions, don't let it live and die in those sessions. Make sure it finds a life outside of those sessions in order to really get this thing that you need.
Yeah. Use it or you lose it.
Lose it. Hey, better tell them, T.
That's like muscle. If you don't use that muscle, it's going to atrophy.
Yeah. And now don't be on that discipline piece. Don't just be putting yourself in bad environments. I bet I can be disciplined in this. Well, let me see. Like, you don't have to, like, it's the recognition of it, of, okay, this might not be the group of people that I need to be around. Let me recognize that, because they're not working towards the things that I'm working toward. Let me find some other people that have something going for themselves, and let's grow together, as opposed to the people that are stagnant and they're not trying to do anything. Now, you can always reach back and you can pour into those people, and you can try to pull them along and pull them up with you. But everybody can't go.
Everybody can't go.
Yeah, everybody can't go. I love it. Now, Coach, you mentioned this word earlier, legacy. Big word. That's what this is all about. A lot of times when we talk about legacy as athletes, we're talking stats, we're talking championships. That's what we're talking about. What does legacy mean to you now, having grown and built Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation?
Legacy means to me leaving the community that I'm serving better than when I found it, right? So when you walk into a room, I try to, if I found it one way, it needs to be either, if it's good, as good as it was, or even better. So when I go into a gym, right, that's how I look at things. And I feel that same way about the foundation. looking at how can we scale, how can we continue to create the impact that we're doing here in Central Florida, Maryland, and Kingston, Jamaica. How can we continue to grow the movement of pouring into girls in sports, but not just that, not just pouring, but the level of experience that they should be receiving. Gone are the days where you could just put on a half-ass event and think that that's good enough for the girls' side. No, I think people need to put more time into people's experience. When you walk into an event, hey, greet them. Hey, how you doing? Right? Like how you greet someone matters. And so just the small details of things is what I want to leave the legacy of, like, hey, let's have a great time. Everyone should leave here and be like, man, like that was awesome. So that's the legacy I want to leave.
So just looking ahead, Jennifer, what's the bigger vision for GBWF? What do you want to be known for within the community? Who do you want to reach? How do you hope things multiply the message of resilience that you have and that you've carried for so many years now?
The bigger vision is just to be in more community centers, being
Mm.
connected, partnered, being able to have this movement and span it past Central Florida, right? Like continue growing our program in Kingston, Jamaica, continue growing our partnership in Maryland, PG County, and just continuing to grow and to touch different areas and being able to mentor younger coaches so they can continue on and understand how to do it and then to do it well, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the bigger vision for the foundation.
Now, what message would you have for the former athletes that are listening, like you, like me, that are out there where they're gonna face or have faced some setbacks, all right? But they want to, like you have, like I have, turn them into purpose and into a platform where they can have community impact. What's the first step that you would tell them to take?
First step is, I would say, surround yourself with like-minded individuals. So build a good, solid team. That would be my first step because I couldn't do everything by myself. And so I had to be able to have people that believed in the mission, the vision, and help me along the way to accomplish just some of it's just the administrative stuff, right? Like that's a
Yeah,
huge part. If you don't hit deadlines and if you don't, report annual reports, just important things that you might not be a business if you don't do it or you get fined.
right.
Just making sure that you have people that are great at that stuff and or you're doing it yourself. So I would just say the biggest thing is have a team. It could be just one other person, right?
Yeah.
It might just be a small team, but it's you and one other person. But just make sure you have someone that you can bounce ideas off of and just have to really build what your vision is.
Yeah. Not going at it alone. Not going at it alone. I don't know too many successful entrepreneurs or anybody that's doing anything great. They're out there just doing it all on their own. Now, there are some people that say, oh, I'm self-made. They got a team too. They have a team too. So I love that great message. You've done this, coach, and you've been doing it for some years now. And you balanced it all, building something great and something that's worth it, that's making such a huge impact in different places across the world. But you've also done it while working full time in other careers and things like that as well. How, for the leader that is trying to balance those things and wants to build something great while still working, what would you tell them about balancing that and balancing it with family? And how do they navigate those challenges as they're starting out?
Faith.
Mm,
Faith is huge. I think there's times in life where you don't have balance. There's times where I'm not a good friend. There's times when I'm not a good daughter. There's a lot of times recently that, my plate has been full where I'm like, man, I have to dive into this to make this successful. And then there's understanding that there's seasons where like, okay, there's times where I'm not great. So like when I can be great, I have to be a great friend. I have to reach out to, we mentioned Chandler McCabe at Robert Morris. Let me check in with her. Let me see how she's doing. She's going like there's, so just understanding that there's ebbs and flows and also not taking it personal, right? Like I have friends that, are doing big things. College coaches, like they don't have time to check in with me, not knowing like, oh, well, she ain't my friend. No, just understand that people have a lot going on. We're all trying to achieve a lot and do a lot of things. So just having grace with other people, have grace with yourself, and knowing that like everything isn't going to be balanced all the time. But when you can balance it, make sure you put that time in for your loved ones.
Love that advice.
Love it. Love it. You can still pursue your dream and what you're building, but do it with grace. And don't forget about the people around you. But man, everything may not be balanced all the time. But always make your way back and don't forget. Don't forget.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
We need a little bit more grace. We need to all be given a little bit more grace in these times. So thank you again, Jennifer, for sharing your journey and sharing what you've been building with us and our listeners. And I know they rocking with y'all already, so I ain't even gonna put this last part because they love you so much after hearing your story. Where can they connect with you, right? What's your social media, your website? And don't forget to tell us where, when Giving Tuesday roll around, where folks can drop their money.
That's so important. Giving It Tuesday is coming. It's coming. They can find me and the foundation at Girls Basketball Worldwide. So actual dots in between. My personal Instagram is Jennifer George 3 for the non-3-pointers that I shot in my career. I was like, if I can't shoot them, my handle's gonna have it in there. And then the website, girlsbasketballwf.org. W for worldwide, F for foundation. And that's where you could find myself and the foundation and all the things that we're doing. Now, pertaining to the Giving Tuesday, if you like Zelle, hit the email, girlsbasketballwf.org. We also have a donate button on our website that you could find all over the page. Or if you have any questions, you could DM the Instagram page or the contact form on the website. But there's many ways to give, so make sure to seek out an organization that you care about. And if it's Girls Basketball Worldwide Foundation, we thank you for your support. We always welcome new supporters, people that want to continue the movement of girls in sports.
Hey, and those links will be found down in the description as well, so that you can just click them and find that donate button and find out how, if you like me and you a girl dad, how you can get your young lady involved. Mine's 2 right now, and while I know she would love to run around with you, Coach George, I care about you too much right now to let her run you ragged right now. So as once she gets older and gets a little bit better at following directions, we definitely gonna check it out. And Tish, last week you had one of them teams. How many spots do we got left now?
I got one of them things. I might do something special, but we gonna see. But yes, if you are a former athlete, current athlete, or coach who's tired of underachieving and know that you were made for more, I want to help you take the mindset, the discipline, as Coach Jennifer was talking about, and the skills you developed in sports and turn them into a 6-figure business or career. So if you're ready to unlock success on a whole nother level, feel free to book a free strategy call with me or my team to learn more about our Locker Room to Legacy coaching program at competitiveedgeleadershipacademy.com. And again, for any athletic directors, coaches, sports professionals looking to fire up your team for the season, I am now booking speaking engagements to close out this year, 2025. So visit TeishJohnson.com to book now for workshops, locker room talks, and keynotes. Again, that is TeishJohnson.com.
Hey,
Season is full swing. High school teams, college. I know you're looking forward to the season started. This is one of the best speakers in the game. You talking about at every level. She's been consistent. Go ahead and tap in with her so you can get consistent. Because I know you ain't. You're like me. We need to be more like Tish. That's what we need to be trying to do. So lock in, man. And for my folks who like to read longer form things, the algorithm and the TikTok 15, 20-second videos have not completely turned your brain into mush. Holla at your boy. Check out my Substack, claygo.hips@substack.com. I got creative writing pieces, all the places you could play. You chose to play in my face, to I want to write something dope, to a new piece that I'm currently working on called It's Complicated, of my processing of my 20th reading of Malcolm X's autobiography, where I got something different and it was complicated. So if you like reading, holla at me, read some of my stuff, give me some feedback, let me know what y'all think. And we're going to give Coach Jennifer another round of applause for coming through and blessing us this week on the Mental Locker Room. And if you do nothing else this week, be good people. We'll see y'all next time.
If you don't subscribe, you banned. You're done.
You can't get no more free game. No more. But for real, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, please share. Don't hoard the message all to yourself. Make sure that other people are getting it too. We'll see y'all next week.
AC, God told me to start this podcast, and then he told me to call you. The time is now. You ready?
I got you, T. Let's do it.